Hey guys, I'm Corey with Blow on Freeze Dryers. I just wanted to do a quick video today on how to freeze dry weeds and herbs in our machines. So our machines will go down to 0 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's important for really aromatic herbs and things like that you really want to preserve the flavor of the herb. Sometimes if you go really aggressive on the cycle, you can actually diminish a little bit of that flavor, but on our machines you can dial it all the way down as low as you'd like. So with that being said, let's head out to the garden and I'll show you what I've got. So I wanted to show two weeds that are actually edible. So this is a dandelion, just a regular dandelion. And then this is purslane. And I'm not sure if that's going to focus or not. Let me try to get it in focus. So that's purslane. It's like a little succulent plant. That's what it looks like on both sides. And then everybody knows what a dandelion looks like. These aren't bloomed yet. Apparently, both of these plants are edible and actually quite nutritious. So purslane, it actually doesn't taste super bad. So it has like a regular like green kind of flavor to it. Almost a slight sweetness. Anyways, it's not terrible. It's probably better than spinach, to be honest. Like it's probably a better flavor than spinach. And then I've never actually eaten dandelion. And apparently all of dandelion is edible. So the flowers, the stems, the roots, like all of it's edible. And they make dandelion tea. I don't like that as much. That's got a bitter flavor to it. Purslane has a very pleasant flavor to it. It's probably worse than spinach. You know, spinach can kind of get bitter sometimes. It's like almost like a bitter spinach flavor, like almost like when spinach gets too ripe. But purslane, yeah, that's not a bad flavor. Anyways, look up purslane. We're gonna freeze dry some of this stuff. So we're gonna take dandelion in, and I've got a bunch of purslane. I'm gonna go pick it right now. We're gonna go check it out and see how it freeze dries. Let's go wash it, and we'll go see what the purslane freeze dry is like. But yeah, we'll go wash it real quick. So we are going to use the medium freeze dryer, and normally I would take and turn this on, probably even while I was picking the purslane, just that way this can get a chance to cool down and like get it cold. I don't think I'll need all of the trays, so I'm still going to want to fill up the tray because it's like we're doing a load, we might as well fill it up with something. So yeah, this is going to freeze dry super easy. It lays down really nice, so I'm not too worried about crushing it. Sometimes when I do spinach, I will take and freeze it first, and I'll actually crush it so I can get more. I can get more in. So maybe I'll do the rest of these apples. I could do that. Let me show you these real quick. So this is this is not super dense at all. I could go way more dense than this if I wanted to, but we'll just kind of leave it. Here's the other pan. Not super dense, pretty easy. Yeah, let's get these apples going. Okay, so got my apples. So apples are one that I really do want to turn on the refrigeration for, because the apples they'll brown. So once I get going, I want them to get cold as possible, as quickly as possible. But that's just one thing when you're doing apples, or even bananas, things that brown very easily. You do want to kind of take and pre-cool this. All you do is just take and turn it on. We're gonna do a fruit recipe, and yeah, so we'll just let it go. I'm gonna turn up the freeze time to probably 9 hours, because it's gonna take me a minute to get going here. Bring you guys in just a little closer, and we'll just chat. But so you guys will notice that with these apples, I'm not stacking them super tight, or I'm not making them look pretty. Like, I really don't care. They're gonna get dry. Even if they are not in contact with the surface, they're gonna get dry still. And you can load a lot more apples doing it this way than you can just doing it one by one. So anyways, that's the way that I like to do it. Don't feel like you have to make them look super pretty. It will get done faster if you have them in contact. So, and what I mean by that is if I take and roll out each individual one and keep it super tight like that, it will get done faster that way. But if you do it this direction. But my philosophy is these are really thin slices. There's no reason for me to do that, because maybe sure, if I was cutting them, if I was cutting them 3/8 of an inch thick, I might take and do them individually, so that way they're in contact with each one, or the surface is in contact with each apple. But when you get them thin like this, you don't have to really worry about that. Same goes for like chicken. Like if I was doing steaks, like I would want to have it all in contact. But where I'm just doing it super thin, like if I was doing like shredded chicken or shredded beef versus, you know, a steak, like, yeah, there's a huge difference. Like a steak or, you know, a big old slab of chicken, yeah, you're probably gonna want it in contact. But other than that, I mean, I wouldn't worry about making it look super nice. I know there's a lot of channels out there, a lot of people who run freeze dryers that'll make them, you know, look super nice. I just try to go a little bit thinner. I will just take and run it real thin and stack them on super thick. I've got apples here that are actually from 2019, so they are 5 years old at this point. So I am going to take and try some of those. Okay, so that was 8 apples, maybe more. I think I did, yeah, it was probably like 8 to 10 apples. Slip that in. Got my valve shut. Let me go clean up real quick, and we'll come back out and we'll try some of these apples that are really old. So these apples were just done, and they're nice and crunchy on the inside. Like you poke it and it literally like crunches. So I can tell that, you know, there's no water in here. It's still good sample. These ones on the other hand, so this Mylar is not, so plastic, when you see it like this, is not Mylar. When you see plastic like this, it is susceptible to getting water through it. And I mean, this one's even been opened, so I mean, that's another indicator that it's just not gonna work. But you see how squishy that is? So that's just not awesome. Even these pineapple, they are less squishy, but these have definitely had water get into the packaging. So these are trash. We're not gonna save these. I'm not even gonna try and eat it. It smells okay, but maybe in a pinch I would eat it, but I'm not just gonna go out of my way to eat this. So see how flexible that is? That's a good indicator. Hey, this has got water in it. So those are garbage. These are garbage. I didn't know back in 2019 that you weren't supposed to do the clear packaging. And I also thought that all Mylar was created equal. This really shiny Mylar, where it kind of looks plasticky, this Mylar is not good either. So even if both sides of this package were this Mylar, chances are this stuff would not be good anymore. What you want is you want a nice like metallic feeling. Like it feels almost like tin foil. Like when you pick it up, it feels like plastic, yes, but it feels more like tin foil. This just feels like plastic, like straight up plastic. Anyways, this is the kind of Mylar that you want. So just something to keep in mind. We'll throw those away in a minute. Maybe we'll find somebody's chickens to give them to. But so we are back the next day, and I did put on a clean shirt. This is my second blue shirt. I only have 2 of them, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the end of cycle and how to determine if the cycle is complete. So it'll say, this is just a timer-based system, so you just have to kind of let it know, like, hey, this is how long I want it to run. But there are some indicators on the screen that you can look at as to, you know, whether or not the food is done. So we'll back up a little bit and we'll talk about the concepts about what's going on in here. So the freeze drying process, what happens is you've got ice or water that's inside the food, and you want to get that ice and water outside of the food, and you want to stick it to the walls of the machine. So at some point, there will not be enough water left in the food to keep the pressure high inside the machine. So again, inside of here, it's pretty much the vacuum of space. So even just a little bit of liquid water will raise the pressure, and it'll raise the pressure to the point that it registers on the machine, or that it picks it up. And usually even like 1 drop of water could raise it to, like 1200 millitorr or something like that. So even just a few drops of water can raise the pressure. So if there's no water in the food, if there's absolutely 0 water in the food, then what you'll notice is that instead of the pressure staying at the set point, so you set it at 1200 or 900 or whatever it is, instead of that pressure staying at that set point, if there's no water in the food at all and it's all been evacuated to the outside, or stuck to the edges of the machine, then that pressure will start to drop. So instead of staying at your set pressure, the pressure will start to drop because there's no more water vapor creating pressure inside the machine. If you see, so it will start to drop and then it will level off. So because at some point you can't, these machines, they're just not exact enough, and the rotary vane pumps are not perfect enough to get to like 0.0 millitorr. So at some point, it's going to bottom out. So you're gonna say, be cruising at 1200 millitorr, as long as there's water that's boiling off the food. You cruise at 1200 millitorr, and then you'll drop to, say like 200-300 millitorr, and then at 200-300 millitorr, that pressure will start to level out for a few hours. And if it's been there for a few hours, then you know that your food is done. You don't need to be pulling it out and checking it if it's still at 1200 millitorr. Anyway, so that's just like a quick, easy way of looking at the screen and saying, hey, is my food done? Is it even at 200-300 millitorr? Some machines, they'll only get down to, let's say like 400 millitorr. So whatever that bottom value is for your machine, you know that your food is done, as long as it's been there for a few hours. So anyways, let's go ahead and check this stuff. Hopefully that makes sense, but let's go ahead and check this stuff real quick. Don't want to get hit by that. And then I'm going to put this right back in the bucket. And then we'll take these out and check. So this is what they look like. They're nice, and they have a nice snap to them. And when they're warm, they won't snap quite as hard as when they are cooled off. So if I were to take one of these things, if I were to take this and like leave it on my dash of my car, like say I was taking them out camping and snacking on them, then you would notice that it would start to be a little bit pliable when it's warm. But at 115 degrees, it's pretty crispy. As it goes down to let's say like 75 degrees, it'll gain a little bit more crispiness. So anyways, I'm just going to go through these and just check them real quick. Again, how I like to check them is I will take and find the thickest slice. So like here's a really thick slice right there. And a lot of these too are going to have slices that are stuck together. I want to take and go through a few of these and break them. But what I'm really looking for though is I'm going to take and break it, and then I'm going to put it against my lip. And do I feel any coldness at all? Like here's a thick chunk. I'm going to pull that one off. I also want to check multiple, so this one feels good. So I want to check multiple trays as well. I don't want to just take for granted that, I check one tray. This is from the middle tray. The bottom tray is kind of most notorious because it's closest to the refrigeration. So if you have any question about it, check the bottom tray first. I'm not selling those, so it's okay if I put my mouth on them. But here is the purslane that we did. It's a little shriveled, but nice and dry. I mean, this was probably done hours ago. Like the apples are going to take a lot longer to get done, but this was probably done hours ago. I could have pulled it out. This is good now to take and just crush it if I wanted to, or put it into a jar. But, anyways, yeah. So that's that stuff. Take all these out. That feels dry. And then from the Cycle Complete page, I'm just going to hit home, and then I forgot. I'm going to actually want to go back and defrost it. So you can actually get to the defrost page just from the home page. So you go to Quick Start, and then you just hit defrost. If I forgot to defrost it, that'll allow it to defrost. So that is defrosting now. It asks you if you want to turn the fan on. I'll just leave the fan off. It's pretty warm out here. So let's go ahead and bring this stuff over. So you always want oxygen absorbers. A good way to tell whether or not your oxygen absorbers are still working is if your jar has sealed again. If it has not sealed, there might be a problem with your oxygen absorbers. Let's do like 3 of these guys. And I try to be kind of quick with the oxygen absorbers when I put it back together, so that way I don't have to worry about oxygen absorbers going bad on me. So this bag, going back to Mylar, so these bags are called gusseted bags. So you'll notice this bottom looks like that, where it's got a gusset is what it's called. These are super nice. So if you're shopping from Mylar, all of our bags come gusseted, but if you're shopping from Mylar, that's the term that you want to look for, is like whether or not it's gusseted. Our new silicone sheets. I should go get some silicone sheets, but our new silicone sheets actually have a trough. So the silicone itself looks like the pan and it fits right into the pan. So it makes it really nice for doing like liquids and stuff like that. But even apples, like it's really nice to do apples with. So I need to go get some of those so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. And then you always want to make sure, throw an oxygen absorber in it, just that way it doesn't you know, go bad on you. And then these will be good for 30 years of food storage. So sometimes what I will do too, this is very non-technical. Sometimes what I'll do, if I have a lot of air in here and I want to get some of that air out, instead of crushing it and like kind of breaking those, I'll literally just take and suck some out. So again, this is for my family. I would never do that if I was doing this in a commercial setting. In a commercial setting, you can do some kind of like, you know, vacuum sealer. There we go. And then that one's good. So that's apples. Let's grab a jar real quick. Kids can snack on them, or I can snack on them and take them. My family's coming into town next week, so we can have them when we're out doing stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and package up this purslane. And this stuff, we're probably just gonna cram it in, I assume. I might have to do this over this. It smells good. It smells better than spinach. So spinach kind of has almost like a fish food flavor to it. This, on the other hand, it smells like it smells green and earthy still, but it's like a pleasant earthy. Spinach, like I said, it kind of just smells like fish food. I'll crush it just a little bit so it fits through the jar a little bit better. Freeze-dried purslane. Is there an oxygen absorber in there? There is not. So sometimes what I do when I get to the end of a jar, so like if I get to the end of a bag of oxygen absorbers, chances are that these oxygen absorbers, they're just not awesome because they've gone through so many cycles of opening and closing. So I'll actually throw 2 in this one. Usually the last 2, I just burn them up all at once. There's some apples. The last chore that we need to do is changing the oil out. I'm gonna take and, I just have a pitcher like this. I just wanna take and, it usually goes faster when it's warm like this. So this literally just shut off. Sometimes the pumps can run hot though. So you wanna, you know, make sure you don't get burned while you do this. Anyways, we'll take and run all the water and oil out of this. And there's a little bit of water coming out of here, but not much. It's probably been, it's been a handful of loads. There's some water for you. And I like to tip it up, just make sure that, you know, I'm getting all the water off the bottom as well. But once that is drained out, you just take and reinstall this guy. And I'll just let it sit in this bucket. Wipe that last drop. So I will just let it sit in this bucket until all the water drops to the bottom. So I don't do a filter or anything like that. I just do the bucket method, and I enjoy that method. Seems like there's less things to clean when I do it that way. Okay, there we go. And then let's take and fill this up. So sometimes this is, if you use Robinair, I'll take and actually like suck the bottle back as I'm trying to get it in the hole. So that way I don't spill it everywhere. But, and then yeah, we are just looking for 1/3 of the way up the sight glass. And I mean, you can see how fast this takes to change the oil. It really is not that big of a deal. I go through maybe $100 worth of oil a year. I just keep reusing it. But yeah, as soon as I see it hit the sight glass, I'm gonna go ahead and quit. Yep, just saw that, okay. And yeah, we're right 1/3 of the way up the sight glass. And then I did get a little oil there, so let's go and wipe that and I'll take care of it later. Yeah, not too hard to change the oil either. Something that needs done. Your pump will last a lot longer, and you don't want to crank on these too hard. Like they are plastic fittings. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I will go do some dishes, and we'll see you on the next video.